What's up everyone, this is FP6 bringing you some more Go Battle League battles here in the Great League, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing a team that is almost completely identical to a team that I showcased a couple of videos ago that was submitted to me by one of my patrons, but he was running Medicham, XL, Lickitung, and Empoleon, and I don't quite have my Lickitung fully maxed out yet, and so I figured let's give this team a shot with Snorlax instead of Lickitung. The benefit of Snorlax is that you actually have way more play against the steel types when you're running superpower here, and you can see my movesets and IVs on the screen here. The downside of Snorlax is it is definitely not as bulky as XL Lickitung. For those of you that have an XL Lickitung already built and you've run it in battle before, it can just absorb so much damage. So really strong. Medicham in the lead, and then Empoleon as kind of the hard cover for any Charmers that we might see. These battles are done in the Remix Cup, and so let's just jump right into some of these battles. A lot of really good games in this video where I'm able to come back from a lost lead with Snorlax. So Deoxys in the lead. Technically, my backline is a little bit afraid of this because of the counter damage, and especially like the Thunderbolt could hit Empoleon for super effective, so I'm actually going to chip it with Medicham and then swap to Snorlax. The nice thing about these Lick Body Slam users is that you're able to hit for super effective against the Psychic types, and typically Snorlax is just going to completely absorb all the damage from whatever comes out. They bring their own Lickitung out. So I'm just going to start ripping off some superpowers. This is another benefit of the Snorlax, is that you're able to hit for super effective against opposing Lick and Body Slam users. So they let that go through. Lickitung easily tanks both of those and farms me all the way down. That is definitely one of the worst case scenarios. So I'm going to have to bring in my Medicham to absorb all of this damage now. I snuck a counter through in between the moves, which is good for me. I'm really hoping I don't get hit by a third body slam, and I'm able to take it out. Out comes the Deoxys again. I'm going to try to chip this with an Ice Punch, and then most likely make a move into Empoleon to try to farm this down. Oh, I actually want to force this Deoxys to throw some energy at me. I'm hoping that it's a Charmer or a Bastiodon or something like that in the back. It's a Registeel, and this matchup is a little bit scary. If Empoleon does get baited, this is really not good, because we're essentially getting to our charge moves at the same time here, Focus Blast and Hydro Cannon. So if the Registeel does successfully bait on one of these, then I'm in a really bad spot. But luckily they've just been going straight Focus Blast, so that means my Empoleon is able to keep pace. They do bait me right there, which is a little bit scary. And I know that their switch clock is going to be coming up here relatively soon. But they don't pull off a switch. I'm able to get to this Hydro Cannon. Maybe they lost track of my energy potentially, but I'm able to farm down that Deoxys and take that game there. Good game. Medicham and a Reggie. This is a favorable lead. They swap to Altaria. So the great thing about Medicham is running this moveset of Ice Punch and Psychic just gives you so much nice coverage. So typically, like if I were to see an Altaria in the lead, I typically just rip off an Ice Punch and then make a move into Snorlax. But since my opponent is switch locked here, I'm going to make the move into Empoleon. Empoleon it's very interesting in Great League. The typing makes it very good. It's got a decent moveset as well, but especially in Great League, it just feels so frail. Even against resisted type damage a lot of the time, it's just really chunks. And so I still think Empoleon has most of its swag in Ultra Premier. Definitely still has some play in Great League and is a decent pick, again mainly because of its typing. Its bulk is really not that impressive, but moveset is good, typing is very good. So they have a Powder Snow Alolan Ninetales. Thank goodness this is not Charm. I just need as much chip damage on this thing as possible, so I do go for an Ice Punch bait. And now, since all of those counters have added up, I have put this Alolan Ninetales into Body Slam range. And Snorlax can easily absorb a lot of this damage here. You'll notice that my Medicham is a Hundo IV. It's not like ideal optimized PvP like XL rankings there, and that's just because I still haven't been able to build my XL Medicham yet. But gonna be able to throw this Body Slam against the Snorlax and take it out, and then I get farmed down, but I still have the shield. I get a counter through upon entry, which is very good for me. This guarantees that one more counter will take them out, and I'm able to take that game. Good game there. Sableye lead. This is very bad. Now, one of the benefits of Lickitung over Snorlax is that the Sableye matchup is much more consistent for Lickitung because you have Power Whip to hit for neutral, whereas Snorlax, all of the moves are resisted, unfortunately. So it's actually not that great of a matchup for Snorlax, despite double resisting the Shadow Claw damage. So I'm going to do my best to try to win switch here. You can see I'm actually down 2 shields, and I'm just going for these body slams here. But unfortunately, my opponent is fully committed to just letting their Registeel go. I'm very surprised that they ended up shielding that, and I'm barely able to farm that down before they get to another move. Out comes the Sableye. And I'm just throwing these body slams because it's the lick damage that really adds up the most on the Sableye, so I don't want to drop my attack. Snorlax is ripping off so many body slams here. The Sableye is very heavily loaded on energy. They do go for the return. Nice play. Have to bring out my Empoleon here, and I need to be able to try to waterfall this thing down. That foul play does a lot of damage. It's a Cresselia in the back, so unfortunately, not a lot I can do here. Sableye and Cresselia both easily handle Medicham. Cresselia has the Moonblast that it can throw. Sableye just absolutely rips apart Medicham with the Shadow Claw damage. So, very nicely played by my opponent, even though I was able to regain switch. That set me up for the best possible chance at being able to come back from that lost lead, but unfortunately they had the Cresselia in the back, so there was nothing I could really do there, so good game. Medicham into Quagsire. Fairly neutral matchup, honestly. Quagsire is most likely just going to go straight for the Earthquake here. So I'm just going to go for the Psychic right as the Quagsire has enough energy for Earthquake and see what they want to do. They do shield it up. It takes 8 Mud Shots to get to the first Earthquake. It takes 8 counters to get to the first Psychic. So then they switch into Toxicroak. This is still a matchup that I have got to stay in. But the Quagsire is actually going to be a little bit scary for my Empoleon because of the Earthquake damage. My opponent is completely out of shields. I get baited here, which is very unfortunate for me. And I'm really hoping... they just go for another Mud Bomb, which I survive, so I overfarm a little bit more. I do know that Toxicroak is going to win CMP though, so I cannot farm too much. Down goes the Toxicroak. Is Quagsire going to come out? No, it's a Vigoroth going to farm me down. My Medicham is just outputting so much damage here. Quagsire double counter. Very interesting team. I'm actually going to bring out my Empoleon here, and then they bring out the Quagsire, and because I got that energy advantage on the Vigoroth, I will be able to get to this Hydro Cannon before Quag can get to a move. I immediately switch into Snorlax to potentially catch the Bulldoze here, and I do catch it, and I'm able to take that game there. Good game. Very interesting team by my opponent. Pelipper lead, a little bit rough here. Most likely just going to go straight into Snorlax. And you'll see I'm farming up a lot because whenever your opponent stays in for this long and they don't throw energy, they're trying to wait for you to throw energy so they can cleanly make a swap into whatever they're going to bring out. I get Hurricaned, ouch, but that's okay. If I can win switch back here, that's going to be really nice. So I do get a shield. And they're not going to give me switch, that's okay. Luckily, Empoleon does resist all of these moves from the Pelipper, but it's really going to add up. I only get hit by 1, thank goodness. What is in the back? It's a Sableye. Okay, so most likely it's either a G-Fisk or a Bastiodon, something like that. Something that hopefully my Empoleon will have some play against. And since I have this shield advantage, this is pretty good for me. They let the Sableye go. It's a Wigglytuff in the back. So I store a Hydro Cannon because I know I win CMP. And then I'm just going for these Ice Punches here. I'm being very careful with my timing to not allow a free Charm through, because I don't get to the move. Thank goodness I stored this Hydro, because I'm going to be able to take out this Wigglytuff now. That was very scary at the end there. I was definitely not expecting a Charmer in the back, but still able to pull it off there. Good game. Pelipper lead again. Not great, so immediately going to switch into the Snorlax. And they tried to catch a Body Slam on Registeel. Well, that was not successful, and now my Snorlax has so much loaded energy that I can easily flip swap here. So that's what I'm going to do. It's pretty rare that my opponent would bait on this first move, because typically they might suspect that the Snorlax would not shield. So I do shield that. I land the superpower, and then I just go immediately for the Body Slam. See what they want to do here. They let it go. So I have one switch. That's very good for me. This Snorlax is still outputting a lot of damage against this Pelipper here. So they got to throw some energy to take me out. They're probably going to farm me all the way down. That's okay. I can't give up swap here. I just have to let them farm me. They even shield a debuffed Body Slam, which really surprised me. Totally fine by me. I'm going to safely absorb whatever this move is. And in the back, another Charmer in the back. I was getting very surprised at all of these Charmers in the back that I was encountering. Let me know what you all think of Great League Remix. I'm pretty burnt out on it, to be honest. It's just there's so many like Charmers and Bastiodons. I don't know. I feel like the ban list that Niantic put out is interesting, but honestly, Azumarill and G-Fisk normally keep a lot of those teams in check, and so without those Great League remixes, kind of interesting. I know there's a lot of people that enjoy it. I think I still prefer Open Great League. Maybe if they have a different set of bans for next time, it might be interesting to see how it plays out. But alright, Jellicent against this team is tough, because technically speaking, my Snorlax is the best response there. Pretty much my only response. And they debuffed me before they swapped out, which is a really smart play. But winning switch here doesn't matter. It's more so about trying to get a shield advantage and set myself up for a farm down or something, because the only way I can handle that Jellicent is with energy. So you can see the Altaria is trying to farm me down, but Snorlax is still very bulky. So I got a shield in the secondary matchup even though I was debuffed. That's pretty huge. I bring out my Medicham here, and I just let this Sky Attack go. I'm really trying to farm down this Altaria, but it did not work, so I'm going to have to shield once here. Not sure if this was the best play, but I want a Psychic to be able to get off on this Jellicent. And most likely I'm assuming that my opponent's not going to shield that. They don't. I also get the Defense Fell, which is pretty nice for me. I really hope I don't get baited here. They actually went straight for the Shadow Ball, which was a very nice play by them. I do have a lot of loaded energy, so I should be able to safely take out this Registeel. But that Jellicent is still going to be a big problem. I have back-to-back Hydros, but one is not enough to take it out. And I can't even farm this Reggie down before it gets to another move. They let it go, and now they're going to be able to Hex me down. Very nice play. Jellicent is definitely a tough lead to play out. And even if I would have shielded that Shadow Wall, it wouldn't matter because I would have been Focus Blasted. So, alright, this team handles Bastiodon very, very well. Empoleon and Medicham both easily handle Bastiodon. This time I'm actually able to get my Snorlax aligned with the Jellicent, which is really where the Snorlax needs to be. I do need to throw these Body Slams kind of as quickly as possible, at least in the beginning, before I get debuffed, because this Jellicent is just going to Bubble Beam debuff me into oblivion. I will be able to leave this matchup with a lot of stored energy, because the fast moves of Hex from Jellicent are doing nothing. The Bubble Beams are doing nothing. And so they actually give up Swap there and switch lock their Bastiodon against my Medicham. This is the dream. I can farm this all the way down, and then when they most likely bring out the Jellicent again, I will have a lot of energy to rip off on the Jellicent. So I'm at 100 energy. Out comes the Jellicent. I'm pretty sure Medicham wins CMP here. If it was a CMP tie, I immediately throw. It was a CMP tie. I'm really hoping that they Bubble Beam me, but they actually go straight for the Shadow Ball. Very nice play. My Snorlax has so much energy, so I'm just going to continue farming this down. Out comes Medicham. Medicham in the back. This is a nightmare for me, but thank goodness I have all this energy from Snorlax, because I'm just going to throw all of these Body Slams into Medicham before making my move into Empoleon. Snorlax is just putting on so much pressure. If this is Power Up Punch, I survive. It is, and then I'm going to make my swap right there. Farm down the Medicham. Have to shield this, and then I will be able to get off a Drill Peck on the Jellicent, and this should be pretty straightforward. Obviously, fighter leads in the back with this team are very scary, but it is important that you need to bait that out with the Snorlax there. Air Slash Mandibuzz in the lead. Really not good for me. If this was a Snarl Mandibuzz, this would be more of a neutral matchup. But the Air Slash damage really adds up. Out comes Escavalier. Really not good. So, I'm assuming if this is Drill Run, I survive. I do survive, and I'm just gonna go straight for the superpower here. And my opponent actually shields, which is a lot worse for me because none of my charge moves really hit this Escavalier for much damage with my Medicham. I'm going to let this Aerial Ace go through. I know I survive. And I'm just going to throw this Ice Punch, but I know that this isn't enough to take this thing out, so this was kind of a dumb play. Because we simultaneous feint. I really should have went for the Psychic there. So out comes the Mandibuzz. I have no idea what's in the back. And it's a Dark Pulse Mandibuzz, and it's a Defense Deoxys in the back. So I got absolutely destroyed in that game. Good game to my opponent. Alright, here's an Altaria lead. Just going to go straight for the Ice Punch here, and then swap into Snorlax. I'm really trying to see if there's a fighter in the back. Maybe their own Medicham. In this case, it's a Toxicroak. Totally fine by me. Gonna rip off these Body Slams. I might even get a shield out of this matchup like I did right there. And they can't even farm me down because they would get hit by another Body Slam. So this matchup is surprisingly decent for Snorlax in the Zero Shield. So I'm gonna bring out my Medicham. I know Sludge Bomb is really going to do a lot of damage, but I know that I can tank it. And I'm just gonna go for the Ice Punch here. I just want to get rid of this Toxicroak. I really hope they don't shield. And now let's see if double shielded Empoleon can sweep the back. It's a Reggie in the back, so Empoleon up a shield. We're looking pretty good here. I even sneak an extra Waterfall through because they're very frantic at throwing this charge move. So even better for me. One Hydro still does not knock them out at this range, as we know. So they let that go through. So I'm just going to immediately throw here and not have to expend my second shield. They do shield, so now I will have to shield this move, but we're totally fine here. That Altaria is very low. I just need to land a Drill Peck on it. Empoleon with 2 shields in the conclusion of matches is pretty nice, especially if it's not like a counter user in the back. Empoleon really has a lot of play there. Good game. Bastiodon lead, you love to see it. Okay, opposing Medicham swap ins. A little bit sketchy here. My two options are either stay in this, and if I can win this matchup, then I'm in a good spot. Or if things start going south, eventually actually make a move into my Snorlax. Once they're low enough that the lick damage plus Body Slam will do enough. Because my Empoleon handles Bastiodon just fine. So I'm just going to go straight for this Psychic here and see what they want to do. They double shield, so I'm going to make the move into Snorlax now. I also got the Defense Fell, which definitely puts me in a more favorable scenario here. They go for the Ice Punch. Out comes Bastiodon. Double Superpower is going to be enough to take out this Bastiodon. But then I know that I'm going to get farmed down by the Medicham. That's fine. So technically, my whole team has a decent amount of play against Bastiodon for sure. Out comes the Medicham, but it is very low. I actually bring out my Empoleon to waterfall them down, and in the back is a Shadow Victory Bell. Are you kidding me? Thank goodness shields are down. This Drill Peck should be just enough to take out this Shadow Vic. Oh my gosh, good game. Medicham into Meganium. Fairly neutral here. The Ice Punch will obviously hit for super effective. It takes 6 counters to get to this Ice Punch, and it takes 6 Vine Whips for the Meganium to get to the Frenzy Plant. So I'm actually just going to swap into Snorlax here because, once again, if there is a counter user in the back, I need to get it on the field and see what they're working with. So I'm going to throw this Body Slam and see what my opponent wants to do. I get a shield there. So I really want to try to fight for swap here. I'm able to farm down the Meganium. That's very good for me. Out comes a Magneton. This is not great because I have no shields. And this thing might be running Zap Cannon. We will see. Oh my gosh. So I just get one-shotted by that thing. Luckily, it's low enough that the Empoleon can farm this down. What is in the back? It's a Mew. This is very scary. I need to get off this Hydro Cannon as soon as possible. Does a lot of damage. This is most likely a Wild Charge, and then I should be able to farm them down with Snorlax. And then I have a Body Slam stored for the Magneton. Super crazy and really cool team comp by my opponent there. Good game. Medicham into Ninetales. Please don't be Charm. Please don't be Charm. It's Charm. So I got to get the heck out of here. And I'm hard countered with a Scrafty. Feels good. But this is where having superpower is pretty nice, because I will at least do a significant amount of damage to this Scrafty. I'm waiting till the last possible second to throw it, to try to get off as much lick damage as possible. They let it go through, totally fine by me. Now, if Scrafty was their only counter user, Empoleon should be pretty clear in the back. So we will see what happens here. They go straight for the foul play, nice play, and I farm them down. I immediately swap to Empoleon, and it is a Politoed in the back. Not good for me, because in the 2 shields, Politoed can actually just go straight Weather Ball and win this. You don't even need Earthquake. And so my only win con was calling a bait there, but it didn't matter, because my opponent is for sure just committed to going straight Weather Ball, and Empoleon is just too slow to keep up with the Politoed's damage here. I have some energy stored on Medicham, but this was a very tough alignment for me. I'm trying to fight to get shields down to potentially land a Psychic on the Ninetales, but I should just throw an Ice Punch here, and then most likely they just they do shield, but it doesn't matter. I'm barely not able to get to the Psychic, but even then I don't think it would have been enough to take out that Ninetales. Good game, very tough team comp. Alright, Deoxys in the lead. This is a fairly neutral matchup. XL Medicham definitely handles this matchup a lot better, and mine is not XL, so again, typically I'm probably going to absorb some damage and then make a swap into Snorlax at some point. I store an Ice Punch and then make a swap. Alright. Out comes Vigoroth. Not great for me, but once again, I have superpower to at least hit back with some super effective damage. Now, I'm anticipating that my opponent is going to want to farm me all the way down. They let that go, and I was almost barely going to be able to get to a Body Slam there. So they had to throw energy, which is really nice for me. I'm gonna farm them down. This might be triple counter, so it might be an Obstagoon in the back, and that is really the worst case scenario. It's a Wigglytuff in the back? What in the world? So I have to get shields down. But this is where I'm in a tough spot. Because if my opponent saves both shields for their Charmer right here, well, thank goodness they shielded. But honestly, they could have just saved both shields for their Wigglytuff, and it would have been really bad. But this is still very bad for me. Because now my Empoleon is so low. Look at this. The charms are still chunking. I'm able to get to this Hydro Cannon and deny a charm. That gets shielded. I just need to get to a Psychic. And luckily, I'm at a Psychic. And this will do just enough. Oh, it's not enough? And, and then I still lose. I made that very close, though. Good game. All right, Wigglytuff in the lead is an absolute nightmare. I'm just going to immediately swap into my Snorlax. And then, once again, they bring out a Registeel, and they're very late to this swap. So this gives me a huge opportunity to regain swap. They do shield up my first superpower. Unfortunate. But that's okay. I'm actually just going to let this go and get a nice hefty farm with Medicham. And then save 2 shields for Empoleon and see what will happen here. I can tank a Flash Cannon. And then this way when the Wigglytuff comes back out, I'm going to have a lot of energy to unload on it. But I'm just going to immediately swap into the Empoleon and store all this energy. It's a Whiscash in the back, but I am up in shields and I need to try to get any waterfall through that I can. My opponent is not letting me have it. They're very good at timing their fast moves here. But I'm now at back-to-back. Empoleon definitely wins the CMP tie against Whiscash. So I throw immediately. They do get a Mud Shot through there. This will not be enough to KO. They barely live. And this Mud Bomb is really going to hurt. Ouch, but I farm them down. Out comes Wigglytuff. I throw an Ice Punch. They don't get a charm through. I need to get to the Psychic, and I'm barely able to get there. And this is going to be just enough to take out Wigglytuff. Able to come back from that really tough lead there. Yeah, thank you everyone so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you appreciate the content. Best of luck with your battles, and I'll see you all in the next video.